Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here for another episode of Speaking My Mind. How you guys doing? Hope you're all doing well. It's Halloween that I'm recording this, just for reference, 31st of October. I've already talked about Halloween, don't worry guys. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the budget, but more specifically tied into Brexit, because I wanted to address something about the tying in of Brexit with the budget. Now, I've spoken on various videos already about it, live streams about the budget, so I'm not going to dwell too much on it, but I do want to talk about the Brexit impact, because obviously the OBR said it was about £40 billion lost because we've left the single market and customs union, and £40 billion in tax rises by the Chancellor, which emphasises once again the damage of no longer being a part of the single market customs union, sitting on the outside. It's very bad for us, and we're going to be feeling that pain still. While I do think that this budget was 6 out of 10, despite some, without doubt, reasonable and rightful criticisms of the budget, which I've spoken on other lengths. One of the things that weren't mentioned about is the impact of Brexit and the damage that Brexit has caused to the complete ignorance and ignorance of it. Almost as if like they're saying, Labour was saying that they can make things work, that Brexit is because of the Conservatives, almost like to say that because of Boris Johnson's deal and the Conservatives, it's why we all worse off because of the Conservatives. Well, unfortunately, Labour, to ignore the damage and the virology of Brexit is ignorant of them. It's completely ignorant of them. We're ignoring one of the biggest and fundamental problems in the UK as a whole, and nobody seems to want to answer it. Nobody seems to want to address it, and you can't ignore Brexit forever. You can continue to play it down and you can pin it on the Conservatives, but you guys are in government and you guys need to face it at some point. Now, I want to address also something that I saw on so I was having a little bit of a debate with, let's say a little bit. Someone was basically trying to make this argument that after this budget, that now is the time to start the process of rejoining the EU, of rejoining the single market and customs union. Now, you guys know, for those who have been following me for a long time, I voted for Brexit. I regretted it. It was a bad decision, and of course I want us to rejoin the European Union as soon as possible, as soon as reliably possible. But I'm also a realistic guy as well, and I know it's not as simple as just going up to the EU and saying, hey, we changed our mind, we want to go back in. No, that's not how it works, guys. But obviously he was trying to make the claim that we can start that process, which is problematic on so many reasons. So why is it so problematic to start that process, Regan? Well, for starters, first and foremost, not all MPs are on board with it. Not all political parties are on board with it. Yes, majority of Labour will back it, the government. Greens, Lib Dems will support it. The SNP will support it as well, that process. But the Conservatives, who are the main opposition party, and Reform will outright reject it. They'll call it betrayal of voters, and they will never agree to it. Now, whether you like it or not, the reality is that Labour are not going to be in power forever. That's just the reality, guys. Labour are not going to be in power forever. At some point, they're going to go out, and it's either going to be a rebirth of the Conservative Party that will come back into power, or it's going to be Reform, who overpowered the Conservatives and become the new party, the new government. I know it sounds daft to suggest that Reform could enter Parliament and seize power, but to imply that the Conservatives or Reform will never gain power especially in the political system that we're in, is folly. So my message is obviously, what is the point of us? What is the point of us starting that process if the process is going to get reversed by another political party? It's even if Labour win the next general election, which they are likely to do at this current point in time, 8 years is not enough anyway, and you just have to be realistic on that. So what else is there? What other barriers are in the way? Well, the second barrier is, of course, the right-wing media, and the right-wing media will play against us as well. The media will ramp up the rhetoric of calling Labour betrayers, liars, and they will pump out even more disinformation about Brexit than ever before. Yes, they will. I know they're going to pump it now. They would pump it now even if they wanted to. But here's the thing. As long as we have a media that is not properly regulated, we're always going to have people who will believe in Brexit no matter what. Deceivers and those who fall down that rabbit hole. That's why I've always advocated for media reform. We need media reform, Leveson inquiry, as people have mentioned as well. We have to have that. Before we can rejoin as well, because otherwise, yes, everyone knows, yes, for those who want to rejoin and knows the benefits of rejoining, that's all well and good, but how much of that information is actually going to get pumped by the media, the mainstream media, into people's minds, into people's knowledges? How much of that is going to get pumped in? Is it going to be enough? This is the thing. That's the problem. That's another problem there. And the third thing is that it's a lot of people lives, yes, have been destroyed by it. Are people ready to talk about Brexit? Are people ready to have that conversation? Are people ready to have those debates again? And right now the answer is I don't think they are. Now some people will, but some people just don't want to talk about it because it opened up bad wounds. It's destroyed families, it's destroyed relationships. We know that Brexit has caused that, and there's been countless stories out there and saying so. So this suggestion of restarting the process, there's just far too many barriers in the way for us to rejoin. I want us to rejoin, but we also need to be realistic about the opportunity to be able to do so. Another reason is, of course, from the EU's perspective. They don't want to start this process and then us changing our mind or something gets in the way down the road. And we're a long way off from the trust that we had with the EU before. We don't have that same relationship before because the Conservatives bloody ripped it apart. They demeaned and demoralised Europe at every single opportunity they can. And while Labour are more kind to Europe, doesn't change the fact that the Conservatives ruined our relationship with Europe. You have to be realistic about that. And not only that, we need all EU member states on board for us to want to join the EU. And I'm going to be frank with you guys, I don't think all EU countries want us. Would I say the majority would want us back? Yeah. But do we honestly think that those who are more pro-Russia within the EU are going to vote for it? Do we think the likes of Hungary right now with Viktor Orbán, do you really think he's going to just allow the UK to waltz back in? No, he's going to, on behalf of Putin, he's going to say no. He's going to make it difficult for us. So if you add all these things up, guys, you can just see the mountain that is in front of us. And it's not to say that we can't overcome all these obstacles in the future, because we can. But we have to tackle the other steps in the UK if we have to do this. Scotland's perspective is, of course, for them, they need to have an independent referendum vote if they want to have that opportunity to rejoin the EU, to join the European Union, and they want to do it without being tied down to Westminster. And they're more than happy to have EU currency in doing so as well. They're more than happy to do that because the majority want that in Scotland. That's something they want. But for the rest of us, obviously, there's a lot more barriers There's a lot more corruption, there's a lot more stench going on. So this idea that just because we had an okay budget-ish, this premise that we should start the process is just folly. Again, I get how people feel about it, but I'm also realistic about it as well. So when can we start talking about Regan is, I guess, the question is when we start making the necessary changes within Parliament, within politics, within UK politics. Until we change the system from within, change media, change how politicians conduct themselves, change our media regulation and how media operate things, then and only then do I really think we can start having serious conversations about it. Because until then, there will always be pushback against it, sadly. And yes, democratically, why as well? I know older Brexit voters are dying off. Younger Brexit voters are seeing younger voters are seeing what's happening as well. I get that as well. But that's not to say I'm against rejoining. It's not. I really am not. I'm just being honest and realistic about it, guys. But what do you guys honestly think? Do you honestly think we should start the process? Do you really think that's a risk worth taking? Maybe some of you fundamentally disagree with me, and maybe we should do it now. Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comment section below on Brexit and your after thoughts of the budget. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe as always. And I hope to catch you all very, very soon.